Hello, everyone. You're welcome to day two of Arise from the Ashes Summit. I'm so excited, that we're here today. And the theme of our summit is Wells of Wellness. I want to start by thanking everyone who joined us yesterday. I want to thank you for your participation. Thank you so much for your comments, your likes, for sharing on Facebook and for YouTube. A lot of people share the links to different people on different platforms because I was getting some sort of comments. And thank you so much for that. I found the sessions yesterday really helpful, really enlightening, and I was able as well to learn, new things. And I believe that you did as well. And so I'm welcoming you to day two. If you're just joining us today, can I encourage you to go and see the recordings for yesterday, the sessions for yesterday. And just to give you a taster, we had a gentleman, a friend and a brother, Adekunle Ogunade, and he's a former professional footballer, and he shared his experience and survival story with an enlarged prostate and prostate cancer. Also, we had, so it's just a taster. You go and watch the recording yourself, and you can send me comments on what your thoughts are on that. We also had Susan Nelson, a community mobilizer, and we had conversations on the barriers people from the BAME and faith BAME community and faith groups. So that's the Black African minority ethnic groups, the barriers that we have with regards to engaging with cancer support services, and what Macmillan Cancer Support or other support services can do differently to make us engage with these services. So I'm going to end there. Let's go and look at the recordings. They're really, really wonderful information there. And so till today, wow. Today, just like yesterday, we have two speakers as well. And I have my speaker in the house. And so our first guest speaker today will be talking to us, will be sharing on nutrition. All of us, everybody, irrespective of age, tribe, religion, race, we need nutrition. We eat every day. And our speaker is an author. She's an established certified accountant and a lifestyle coach for the exclusive you. Her interest in weight loss began over a decade ago when at 5 feet 5.9, so 5 feet 9 inches, her weight had crept up to 102 kilograms. Wow, that's a lot. Well, her quest to reserve the trend took her to an eye-opening journey as she tried new and old weight loss strategies. Unable to find a sustainable solution, she resigned to working with her own diet and managed to lose over 25 kilograms and has kept the weight off since. Well done for me. Well done.
Mm, thank you.
After completing her master's degree in management studies, she went on to study nutrition and wrote a thesis on the subject. She is the founder of the Exclusive You Nutrition and Lifestyle Improvement Program. This is a quarterly online group program which she runs as well as offering a one-to-one consultations. She is passionate about what she does and provides credible nutrition and lifestyle improvement information, advice, and support. She's particularly focused on helping the Black community make informed decisions about losing weight, using their own diet, and improving their health and wellness. She has helped her clients over the past 10 years achieve their weight loss goals and therefore enjoy renewed confidence, increased energy levels, and improved healthy lifestyle using their own diet. Her ebook, recently published ebook, The Meal Planner and Recipe for the Exclusive African Woman, is designed to help you start your healthier lifestyle journey seamlessly. And our speaker is Mrs. Fumi Ajayi Obe. Hello, Fumi, and welcome to Arise from the Ashes Summit. I'm really
Thank
pleased to
you
have you
so
here
much.
today. I'm really, really pleased. Thank you for accepting to be our guest speaker and to talk on nutrition. So, Fumi, I'm just going to
Thank
ask,
you.
we've said so much about you, but can you just tell us a bit about yourself?
Okay, I can't even believe that you were talking about me reading all of those. Of course, the
It's
journey of 10
interesting.
years.
Yes.
I'm
Well
sitting
done.
listening
Well
to
done.
myself like, is that me?
It is you.
Well, it's been a journey over 10 years. Like you rightly said, I started this program. I didn't know I'm an accountant by profession. Well, started as
Mm,
that. And I didn't know I was going to be in nutrition. But of course, my lifestyle was really bad at the time, was rushing around looking after everybody else but myself.
mhm,
I ignored myself. I didn't even see the need for it. I have 3 children. I'm married. I have my husband, my family, church activities here and there. You know how it is. Keyboard lesson, everything as you rush from pillar to post and get home
mhm,
at night, sleep, wake up, don't even think, whatever you find, you eat. So that was my life
mm,
then. And I gained weight gradually to cut story short. And I remember one day at work when a colleague said, "When is the baby due?" I'm like, "I'm not pregnant."
mm,
And it's like, oh my goodness. I looked at myself, I'm like, oh my goodness, this tummy is large. I went to the hospitals, doctors. Actually, the doctor, I mean, I didn't even know that it was my weight because the doctor actually, they carried out lots of tests, was intensive about what was causing it. Because I think, again, I tend to carry a lot around my mid area. So, and because I'm quite tall, so it's not so big, obvious, like, it is obvious, but it's not out of the ordinary, 100, just only 102 kg.
mm,
But yeah, in the end, they found nothing. So there was nothing wrong with me. It was just fat. And I
mm,
decided to do all the research and everything. And, I tried a few programs with a friend. And, I'm like, I'm not getting information here. It doesn't match my lifestyle. They don't talk about pounded yam. I'm from Elisha. I eat pounded yam. I eat all these things. I really need to know. Hence why I decided, you know what? I started to research online, everything. And that led me to, I did my dissertation around that as well. And then I'm like, I need to do some nutrition, proper nutrition, so that I don't just rely on my information, my research and my personal experience, but I want, proper educational information as well. So that was how I got on this journey, and I've been helping women since. Well, I say women, mostly women, the people that come to me, but I have helped men as well. In fact, my husband is my first man that I helped, and I've helped a few men as well during the past 10 years. And because it was 10 years this year, because 2011 was when I started the program. But
mm,
I would say it's the last 3-4 years I was actually actively into it because, part of it again, I was like, is this the way, I was helping people along the line doing things, but more actively in the last, say, 4 years or so, 3 or 4 years. And I'm so excited and passionate because I feel like a lot of our people are not necessarily aware about the right information because this is 2021. There's so much information on the internet, and people they are confused. They don't know what to do. They just think, oh, this is the new one. They go with it. Oh, it is juice. They go on juice. Oh, no, it is not juice. This food is what you have to eat. They go on that, and they don't know what to do. I still eat everything I ate 10 years ago till today, but with knowledge and information, I'm aware of where to draw the line, what to eat, what not to eat much of. I can balance lifestyle. So there is no restrictive diet in my program because at the end of the day, we live in the planet's real world. We're going to have foods. Proteins, carbohydrates, and fats are all essential, important food for our health and wellness, and we need to consume them in the appropriate portion. The problem arises when we have too much of one over the other. There's a good balance for everything. When one is out of balance, then that causes problem, and that is a lot of problem that majority have. Being of African descent, I mean Africans generally, we tend to eat a lot of carbohydrates. The portions are disproportionately higher than other proteins and fats. And that is a problem because too much of anything is bad. I remember when I first came here, and at the church we're having a program, and you serve rice. I think we brought rice to church, and how we were brought up, you fill your plate with rice and put two pieces of meat and a bit of stew, and that's how we eat. That's how we ate. And I realized that the people around here, because at my church we're the only black people at the time, so it's predominantly white people in my church at the time. So they would just take like 2 spoons of rice. They would take veg. They would take beef. They would just take, all this stuff. And I'm like, that would not fill you up. I didn't realize I was the one eating wrongly. It was disproportionate. And to be honest with you, I remember as a child, my mom used to really tell us that, if you don't finish your solid food, maybe your pounded yam, your whatever, she would insist, finish your vegetables. She was so really keen on that. So finish your vegetables. And I didn't realize that was actually the good way to do things. So always listen to your mom. That's the secret. So anyway, so that's yeah, and from all my journey, I realized actually, we have to have the right balance, and that's exactly what I do now, helping people to understand how to manage balanced diets using their own diet without having restrictive diet or eating specific food. Don't eat this, don't eat that. Proteins, carbs, and fats are all good and necessary for us as human beings. Oh, we lost your volume.
No, I think I muted myself. Thank you so much for it. I really, really hear your passion. I really, really feel it, even as you were speaking. And talking about busy lifestyle, a lot of people have a busy lifestyle, and like you said, they just eat what's available. They just defer to whatever comes their way, and yes, a lot of us, talking about African descent, the way we're brought up with regards to, like you said, your mom taught you how to eat vegetables. And so a lot of people too have different orientations with regards to their meals, how they were taught, how they were brought up, the food that we eat, some people feel, oh, I've been eating this, I've been eating all of this. There's nothing wrong with it. Even disproportionate portions, or I've had this and all of that. So I'm hoping that you know you can help to shed a bit more light on this as to how we can eat healthily, and particularly with regards to the the sort of the demographic, or the people that we are trying to reach out to, that are cancer patients. But like I always say, whatever we say here applies to everybody, because like I said, nutrition applies to all of us. So I'm going to leave the stage for you and just hear you talk to us about how we can have a healthy lifestyle, healthy nutrition, whether as a Black African person, whether we have health challenges or we don't have health challenges. Thank you very much for me. Over to you.
Thank you. So today I think I decided that I'll do things differently. So basically, I will be talking more about several research. So I'll be talking about food research, and that's how I'm going to do it today.
Okay.
So yeah, thank you so much for inviting me. I'm so glad that I'm here again this year, because I was there last year when you did the first one, which was really good as well. I'm so glad that you are doing what you do, because you are informing people, particularly people. Like a lot of us are in denial. They think, oh no, it's just them. It doesn't come near me. Until it comes really closer to you. What you don't know, Ewa, is that my husband was diagnosed with prostate cancer 2015, in 2015. And when that happened, it was a shock, like I said just now, you just hear it on the news. It's them, it's this, it doesn't come near you, you don't know about it. And when that happened, I think he went for routine tests, and they're like, oh, you're over 50. Oh, have you had PSA test? No, I haven't. Okay. I think I can't remember what he went for. It was completely different. They're like, okay, you're over 50, just have this test done. Test came, They said his PSA was high. Didn't even know what that was. Didn't know what it meant. He had other tests, and then whatever the other tests were at the time. And then he came back. I remember the final one when he came. Even when he had all of those, it's like, oh, that's how they do the test, you know. And then when he came with the final one, and he said to me, you know, it's been confirmed that he's got cancer. You know, the C word that nobody wants to mention.
Mm.
You know, I couldn't believe that. I'm like, for real? You know, that was, you know, my head was all over. And then I began to research. My usual way, I like finding out information. I'm like, what can cause this? Well, what can we do? I mean, I was already a few years in nutrition anyway. So I have an idea of nutritious food. And we've been eating healthy actually by that time. So in fact, part of me feel like, well, thank God that we have actually started, because from what I would mention in a minute in my presentation, you find out why. And so every single thing I could think of, research, study, I bought books, videos, documentaries, everything. I was giving him concussion like no man's business for him. I remember one day, broccoli, kale, cauliflower, blah, 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 everything. You must drink this thing. Just drink it, just listen, do as I tell you, you know. And to God's glory, I mean, he went for surgery. In the end, you know, we had options. You have to decide what to go for. And it wasn't an easy decision because, you know, they have pros and cons and everything else. But at the end of the day, I believe that, I mean, based from all the research and everything at the time, you know, why would you want to keep something that is abnormal in your body when you know that it can be taken out and it will not go further, it will not spread further? Why do I want to keep it inside that body still when you know that there's an abnormal cell that is developing? And it was a radical, he had radical, I think it was called radical, aggressive. No, it's not radical, aggressive. He had the aggressive type. So aggressive is very aggressive and it's there. And so we decided that, okay, that was what we were going to do. And in addition to that, nutrition had to follow. And like I said, we've been eating healthily before, but we had to kind of intensify our nutritional food consumption. And to God's glory, he's fine. He's okay now. No cancer cells, nothing. And this is 2021. So that was 2015. This is 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. So it's been over 6 years now. So that is another reason why I'm so passionate about all these kind of things. Like, people need to be enlightened. I mean, cancer, as they define it, is a result of mutation, abnormal cells growth. Sorry, I'll be looking at my other screen because I didn't do the presentation. So I put it on my screen here. I'll be looking sideways. So it's a mutation of abnormal growth, which obviously there is no one research that can say exactly that this is the one cause. There's no 100% for that. But we all know that there's so many factors: environmental factors, pollution, there's food, there's genetics that could result in that. And it is estimated that about 35% of the cancers are actually food related, that could be avoided if healthy food and nutrition and lifestyle are being followed. The good thing is we have epigenetics, which is the kind of study of how behaviors and environmental can cause the genes. It can affect the way the genes work. So that, sorry, just plug in so I don't lose my charge. Yeah. So it affects the way the genetics work, you know. We can actually change and reverse a lot of things through our diets, through eating healthily, because there's been so many research to confirm that. So being a cancer patient, obviously, is not a deliberate choice that anyone makes, but it's a situation that many find themselves. I've used the word deliberate because it's not that you deliberately want to have it, but some of it is as a result of our choices, ignorantly, behaviors, lifestyle, eating habits, and all these kind of things that we do. Like I said, my husband's diagnosis was terrifying, and but we thank God that that's out behind us now. So as in life, when this happens, we need to then identify. If we know that food is one of the reasons why this could actually cause much problem, then we need to tackle it via food. So one of the things, I mean, like you rightly said, I recently launched my book, and the paper copy is going to come at some point soon in the next week or so. But it's a meal planner and recipe for the exclusive African woman, I titled it. But the book actually was informed because I realized over my journey, people really, I've said people should use their own diet, but people really actually, they need guidance. They need, okay, just give me ideas on what exactly should I be eating and how, what's cooking methods, what should I do? And that is why I designed this planner and the recipe, just to give an idea of what people can eat. And that is what we need to do, whether we're diagnosed with cancer or not. Having a planner, a meal planner, or a food diary will help. It will help identify whether there are food intolerances that you have. It will help identify whether there are some allergies. It will help you plan and make sure that you have nutritious food available at each point in time, so that you don't just grab whatever comes your way, so that you can eat healthy and you can have a healthy family too. So it's basically designed to help you make a good start. And when you have a meal planner, you can plan your shopping trips, you can plan what you cook, you can freeze them ahead, because meal planning is not just planning that you want to cook this and cook that. You actually buy it, you actually cook it, you actually prepare it. We know we have busy lives, like you said earlier. We have busy lives, and the easy way to do things is to prepackage. Some of the ones that will take longer to cook, we can actually pre-cook, keep them in the freezer to use them when we need them. A lot of food can even last up to 3 months in freezer and keeping intact. And nowadays, fruits and vegetables, you can even freeze them. A lot of vegetables, like I would make sure that I have frozen vegetables all the time. I buy fresh all the time, but I also buy frozen, so that when I use up fresh and you don't have frozen, and then I use up fresh. When I use up the fresh ones, I have frozen as backup, so that I come home from work, I'm like, oh yeah, I need to do that. I just grab a frozen one, toss it on the plate, heat it or whatever, and then you're good to go. So it's quite important to have that. So it involves time management, really planning your time, planning your schedule, your food, and buying them and getting them ready. So it enables you to see gaps in your diet and nutritional gaps as well, like triggers, and I already mentioned that. So we need to understand that okay, I'll be mentioning also sometimes types of cancers, and because I'm mentioning a lot of research. Okay, for example, blood cancers are referred to as liquid tumors, which they are kind of concentrated. They're not the concentrated ones like mass in like breast cancers and other types of cancers, and they circulate throughout the body. So they are mostly, mutation of white blood cells, for example, like leukemia and all these things. And it's actually a lot in Black people. A lot of Black people have more compared to Caucasian people with all these kind of diseases. So it's quite important to understand it. So in the kind of all these abnormal cells, they impair the ability for the bone marrow to produce normal red cells, and they crowd the healthy ones. So they crowd the healthy ones, and they themselves, they're not doing anything. So this is how these gains work. So the University of Oxford researchers, after following more than 60,000 people over a dozen of years, they found out that those that eat more plant-based diets, they are more likely to develop, they are less likely, to develop all forms of cancer altogether. So basically, they find out that, they have lower risk compared to people who are kind of meat eaters and all this kind of other categories. The British Journal of Cancer concluded that more research is required, though, to understand the reason for this. But of course, while this research is being understood, we must increase our consumption of whole grains, legumes, vegetables, fruits. The key to cancer prevention and treatment is to keep the tumor cells from multiplying out of control, while allowing healthy cells to grow normally. A study found that most people have a form of cells or the other, but in little proportion. So they have these little cancer cells, but in little proportion. And while we know that chemotherapy and radiotherapy can do the job of wiping out the cells, but healthy cells can also get caught up in the crossfire and destroy the cells. This is why it's important to have good, healthy meal dishes so that the body can actually regenerate and produce good cells. Broccoli, as I mentioned earlier, is, I mean, if they say superfood, is one of superfoods, as because they belong to the cruciferous family, like cabbage, broccoli, cauliflower, all those kind of foods. I'm not even sure where to look in the screen. Am I supposed to look at myself or the camera? Anyway, so it's one of those foods because they have sulforaphane, which is considered as one of more active ingredients in cruciferous vegetables that I mentioned just now. Also includes collard greens, watercress, and turnips. They did put a bit of cancer cells in a petri dish, and they put a little of these foods there, and they actually realized that it actually impacted the growth of these cancer cells. So if they work in the lab, do they actually work in real life? Yale University researchers, they followed more than 500 women with non-Hodgkin lymphoma for 8 years. And they found out that those who started eating out 3 or more servings of vegetables daily had 42% improved survival rates over those who ate less. So green leafy vegetables, including salad, cooked grains, citrus fruit, appeared to be most protective. What is not clear is whether this actually help keep the cells at bay, or whether it actually, excuse me, help the people tolerate the chemotherapy and the radiotherapy. But however, it shows that it has greater chances of helping people who have cancer. The Iowa Women's Health Study followed more than 35,000 women for decades, and they found that higher broccoli and other cruciferous vegetable intake was associated with risk of getting Hodgkin lymphoma, which is from cancer. Mayo Clinic also, they did their own study. They found out that those who ate 5 or more servings of green leafy vegetables a week, they roughly have the odds of getting lymphoma compared with those who ate less than 1 serving a week. It could be that the plant-based have more antioxidant properties. You know, the antioxidant properties of fruits and vegetables probably helped with this. Higher dietary intake of antioxidants is associated with lower risk. Note, however, that this is dietary intake, not pills. This is because the supplements, they did another research, the supplements actually didn't have the same effects. So it's like getting vitamin C, whatever. It's not going to be the same that you get from orange or pepper than when you put on those pills. In fact, what this particular study, they found out that, I don't know, I didn't read this in detail, but the people that had the combination of the pills, they actually had increased risk of death than those who actually just ate the nutrition part of it. So for me, I would say that, you know, exposure, like for example, I say to people, for vitamin D, for example, you know, we do take supplements here because there's no much sun here in the UK, but vitamin D itself is made from exposure to sunshine. When we expose ourselves to the sun, then the body makes the vitamin D. So it's not as if it's inside the sun, but the body makes it from the exposure. A lot of people make mistake by like, oh, I'm sitting down, I'm just pulling my curtain, I'm getting this vitamin D. But you don't get it when you have your doors and windows blocking the ultraviolet rays. So we have to be physically outside for that to touch our skin for us to make it. And it's not really the same as in tablets. Trust me, I don't do the lab stuff. I don't know what they put in it, but hey, well, maybe better than nothing, but the real deal will do a lot. And also note that for us Black people, because we have thick skin, like I say in my own normal English, that it takes a long time for the body to absorb vitamin D. And so it's quite important for us to have more, we have to take longer exposure. So if a white person stay 15 minutes, 20 minutes, we stay half an hour, 40 minutes before we can get the same quantity of vitamin D. And that's why for people like us, I mean, this is why maybe God put us in Africa, because the sun is there 24/7, knows that we have, it's for protective, actually, protective layer for us, so that we can actually we don't die of it. So that, because if we get a little and it just gets too much, too much of penetration, so it's a protective layer for us. And so it's the same way, like I wasn't surprised when I saw this research and it says that those who take the pill, it didn't have the same effect as those who actually took it from diet. So it has to be from your diet if you want to see benefit from whatever you're doing in terms of your healthy lifestyle eating. And that's why I don't believe in, oh, there's this juice thing, go mix this juice, they are selling this packaged juice, package that. They are all processed again at the end of the day. You need to get your real food from the ground, directly as it came from the ground. That is what is real. The moment it's being in package, it's being put into something, it becomes processed food pretty much. It may not be have fats and sugar like other processed food, but you've processed it, so it's not going to be the same. So save your cash, eat the real thing, eat food. There was in 2008, there was acai berries. We have, I think it was Dr. Oz. Oh, acai berries and all these things, it's all over the papers, everywhere you go. There's a lot of hypes about different foods, superfoods here and there, and all that, gain celebrity status, pretty much. And the people started packing it in powder and drink, mix it with this, Again, I would say eat your real food. While there has been studies to say that, okay, maybe there is a bit of, it has a bit of impact, but it's, again, like anything else, it's never going to be the same like eating real food, fruits and vegetables. Because in addition to when you're eating your fruits and vegetables, you're getting the fiber, which it has also its own benefit. I'll actually mention fiber as we go along before I'm going ahead of myself now. So this study, actually, for this acai berry, they realized that when they sprinkle a bit of the acai berry on the cells, these cancer cells, it develops to 40% more microbes than usual. So although no studies have yet been performed on cancer patients themselves, just the cells in the test tube, so more testing is actually needed. So don't go and start buying or whatever. But at the same time, there is health benefits from that. All fruits, they have antioxidant properties, fiber, and all the nutrients that they do have. If I tell you you want to rush to buy something, I'll tell you go buy cloves, cinnamon, and and cabbage and all the cruciferous vegetables, because they have lots of nutrients that can help keep the cancer cells at bay and nutritious for us. Another spice I will mention, I think everybody already knows this, is turmeric, which sounds simple. It's just a small spice, but there's so much research around it. Researchers from the University of Texas collected multiple myeloma cells, put them in a petri dish without any intervention. Within a few days, the cells grew, multiplied. We know that that's how cancer cells grow. But when they put a little curcumin. Curcumin is the active ingredient in turmeric. So they put a little curcumin in it, and the cells, they were either stunted or they stopped growing altogether. So it kind of shows that they have kind of impact on these cells. And these are tests, again, they're not a human being. But there was another study in 2009 that shows that 5 out of 10 subjects that they were given curcumin supplements, they saw improvements, whereas they had a placebo of 9 people, and that showed that there was no improvement at all whatsoever, which was really helpful, because it shows that, okay, for those people, they had at least 50% chance of getting better from that consumption of the curcumin, which is the active ingredient in turmeric. Soursop is another kind of fruit, which, again, there's a lot of stuff about it. But again, similarly, there's so much research either way. But it's obviously has anti-inflammatory, antioxidant, anti-malaria, antimicrobial properties, which is good for us. So even if it doesn't actually stop the cells as it's claimed, because a lot of orthodox are using it, but for some people have claimed actually it is good for them, but or it's helpful reducing it, but there's not been a scientific research per se to confirm that. So, but again, for all the properties that they do have, it is a good to consume fruits for healthy living. Actually, oh no, I take that back. There was a research on the cells, but this was getting in the lab. Like I said, it hasn't been for on human in the lab. It shows that it suppressed prostate cancer cells and reduced size in rats. And so that was the research for the soursop. Chicken. So there are studies to show that regular chicken consumption was associated with increased risk of pancreatic and blood cancer. While again, there was another study. This is a European prospective investigation into cancer. They studied 400,000 men and women. They found that there's increased risk between 56 and 280% for every 50 grams of chicken consumed. The research suggested that the results could be a fluke or could be due to the drugs such as antibiotics that are fed to chickens to promote their growth. And we all know this, that a lot of, chicken within 2 months, they feed them with all sorts of things just so they can grow. And then we consume all these antibiotics and all these chemicals and everything. And, honestly, to be honest, I think it's hard to live. While there are so many good things about this current modern 21st century, there's also the downside. We eat too much, so we want too much food. So because of that, we have to force things to grow, genetically modified, all these kind of things. So therefore, we're not getting the good deal. If we're doing our own normal rearing chicken in Africa, how we do them, feed them with whatever, we're better off. But all these store ones where they're pushing stuff on us. So apply caution, basically. While proteins are good, we eat chicken actually, but apply caution. Sometimes I'm taking the chicken and I'm looking at this. I'm like, it looks like this is where they give it the injection. You can see some red parts on the thing, and I'm looking at it. I'm like, maybe this is where, I'm like, okay, should I cut that part off then? I'm not eating that part. Or sometimes it puts me off actually, for real. And I'm like, okay, I'm done with that part. Because I think sometimes when you have knowledge about these things, you're thinking about it. There was a time, I think my daughter will remember this. We went on holiday and we said, oh, we're not going to eat chicken again. We're not going to, of course, we still ate chicken, but it's just that for whatever we do in life, we have to apply caution to whatever we are consuming. They also found that poultry workers, slaughterhouse people, they have more tendency of having like the mouth cancer, nasal cavity, throat, esophagus, rectum, blood cancer. So there must be something associated with that and the cancers. And of course, breast cancer is one of the most types of cancers, and it doesn't happen overnight. Actually, they do say that by the time, because they say check, and then check in time so that it can be treated. They do say that actually by the time it's been spotted, once that lump is spotted, it has actually been there for like decades. Research actually said that they did some research on some people that kind of had died, and they did some autopsy and found out that a lot of them actually have some cells in them. They didn't die of those cells. They didn't die of the cancer, but the cells are kind of there. But the aim is to not to allow things to grow out of proportion. So whatever we are eating, we have to ensure that we are eating healthily, so that even if we don't know it's there, we're not promoting it by what we are consuming. We are actually eating healthily balanced diets to alleviate or reduce the growth. I'll be talking about food in a minute. I'm just trying to give all this background so that we have information. Sorry, how many more minutes do I have so I know how many more to go? Sorry, I can't hear you.
Okay, thank you so much for me. I think we have about 10 minutes so that we can give time for questions and answers. Yeah.
Okay, no, that's fine. So 10 moments. Yeah. So so that's that. And then did I talk about epigenetics earlier on? I think where we can actually change the gene structure. I think I mentioned that. Research about how quick lifestyle change can affect cancer defense. Apparently, when you eat well, a lot of plant-based food, exercise, doing exercise, they can improve cancer defenses within 2 weeks. Note that research are always evolving. One day they say eat one egg, another day they say no, egg is not good for you. All of that with caution. But the researchers dripped the blood of women before and after 14 days of healthy eating and living into breast cancer cells growing in petri dishes, in the lab. And the blood taken after they started eating healthy suppressed cancer growth significantly better and killed 20 to 30% more cancer cells than the blood taken from the same women just 2 weeks before. The researchers attributed it to the decreased levels of cancer-promoting growth hormone, IGF-1, which is likely due to the reduced intake of, animal protein. Because as adults, to be honest with you, we're no longer growing. So why do we need to be eating too much of things that is making us grow? I mean, milk is one of them. I'll jump to that in a moment as well. So we eat too much things. We're not growing anymore. So we really don't need to eat too much of meat, too much of all of those things. The things that we've been told to. We need to have a reduced diet. We need to eat protein, carbohydrates, and fat, like I said at the beginning. But the portion, I mean, African people, we go to restaurants. I'm sorry, I'm going to say Yoruba. Rishi rishi, meaning different types of meats. We put it in there. Okay, put that there. Eat that. Then give me a good alcohol drink. Let me put that to push it down, and that's just a snack or a starter. And then we eat all these things. We do not need much of that as we grow. I mean, once you're over 35, 40, like that, you don't really need that much. You just need to kind of maintain, because again, as you are eating too much things that has growth hormone, you are growing that cancer cell inside that is just there small, playing its own thing. So it's not just, you can't isolate the growth. So everything is growing. So it's quite important to take it cool and just be eating sensibly. Another study of nearly 1,500 women found behavioral changes, such as eating 5 or more servings of fruits and vegetables, along with walking, exercising 5 more days, improved the risk of cancers. Let's jump to this one now, because I have 10 more minutes. Red wine and versus white wine. I like research when I see headlines. Black chocolate is good for you. Red wine is good. All those kind of research. And I'm like, check who did the research, who sponsored those research, and things like that is what I would be looking for. Because I'll be like, okay, why all of those kind of things? Because, for example, dark chocolate, fine, okay, they might have some of those compounds. They say they are in just small portion, and then you are putting that much chocolate because of what? The content of that is in tea. You might as well just drink green tea. Flavonoids is in green tea. You don't want to give yourself too much saturated fats for nothing. You're increasing too much sugar. You're taking saturated fat, and you're gaining weight for what? So don't jump on research when you see headlines like that. Caution. So anyway, this one, red wine versus white wine. The Harvard Nurses Health Study, they found that drinking even less than one a day, interestingly, red wine wasn't associated with cancer risk. Interestingly, red wine, not white wine. Apparently, there's a compound in the skin of the dark purple grapes that is used to make red wine. It appears to suppress the activity of the enzyme called estrogen, which is this growth hormone we've been talking about, which breast cancer can use to create estrogen to fuel growth. So they found out that you can actually reap the health benefits, not by drinking wine, because alcohol too increases calorie, has its own problem. Just eat the grapes. And not juice, but grapes, because again, the component is found in the skin. That is why when I hear people like, oh, I'm juicing for breakfast, juicing, I'm like, you are just taking sugar, liquid sugar, because all the nutrients are found in the skin. The fiber are found in all the skin of the fruits and vegetables. And then when you're throwing that away and just taking liquid juice, and you're like, you might as well just put sugar in spoon and just drink in water and drink it. Because at the end of the day, even sugar is from the ground, it's from plants. Sugar is not from anywhere, it's from ground. So we have to be cautious and careful about that. Physical activity have obviously been shown that doing vigorous physical activity 5 days a week, an hour every day, as in sweating, can actually lower the estrogen and progesterone level exposure by about 20%. So just get about a good 5 hours of workout every every week, like an hour a day at least. Maybe two half an hour, whatever what you want to do, is quite good. This one I find interesting: roasted and fried foods. Apparently, when you roast foods on high temperature, all it kind of has a coat the carcinogens there, and that actually affects causes cancer. And so they call heterocyclic amines, HCAs for short. They're also found in cigarettes, by the way, but they're not found when vegetables are actually roasted. Interestingly, so again, it just shows that vegetables are really protective for us as human beings. If we even look at Genesis, sorry, now I'm talking Bible. We started with vegetables is what they gave to us to eat. We are the ones that kind of added all these other bits to our food. So the carcinogens at high temperature, they have chemical reactions that are react with when we put meats and stuff in high temperatures. So I mean, meanwhile, when you look at it, the flip side is if you don't cook meat enough, they also have this bacteria. So you have to find the right balance. So I mean, boiling is good, but maybe just don't put it under too much high temperature. If you do it under 100 degrees Celsius, we'll be fine. Now, fiber, I've already been talking about this. Maybe I don't need to talk much because I've said about that anyway. We need to consume a lot of fiber. A lot of us don't consume more than 10, 15 grams a day. Meanwhile, the recommended daily is 30 grams of fiber every day. So again, you will find this nowhere else but fruits and vegetables, particularly all your leafy greens and cruciferous vegetables. They're very high. And all your legumes and your grains, they all have good quantities of fiber. And saturated fat intake, they're associated with breast cancer and mostly cancers actually. Fatty meat, poultry, all this cheese and creams and all these things. Not only cancer, they also clog the arteries and so too much of processed foods, saturated fatty foods, all of these are not good for us, whether cancer or no cancer. It's quite important that we are eating a good, healthy, balanced diet. How many of you have had an apple a day is good to save the doctor? Does it really keep the oncologist as well away? Well, a research was carried out and their result shows that apple eaters had 24% lower odds of breast cancer and a significantly lower risk for ovarian, laryngeal, and colorectal cancer. It's assumed that the protection was from the antioxidant properties of the apple, which are concentrated again in the peel. So, juice lovers, I hope you're watching this. The peel, the skin, because they're the protective layer. If the skin can survive, that's where it's protect. Because the skin is good because it protects everything from coming into it. It's a protection. That's why it has all the nutrients as well. So apart from all the fiber, all the antioxidants and everything is there. So it's quite important to consume food with skin. I'm going to be finishing off in 5 minutes. Sorry, I realized that. I'm going to
I
skip.
don't have 5 minutes for me, maybe just one more minute so we can
Okay.
take questions.
Okay.
Thank
Okay. So
you. Thank
I will just say, well, flaxseed, I just mentioned foods now.
you.
Flax
Okay.
seeds, green vegetables, all the chia seeds, and all of those are foods that we want to consume. Soya beans, green tea, um, yeah, and all the ones I have mentioned before. They are kind of important. Tomatoes actually contains lycopene. They've been told that it helps with prostate cancer. And so all of this together, sweet potatoes, beta carotenoids in them, the carrots, the squash, pumpkins, apricots, melons, and all of these are quite important for us if we want to have a healthy diet. So I will just say, well, your health is your priority. No one else can make you healthy but you. The decision is yours to make about whether you improve your health and lifestyle or not. Thank you.
Wow, 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 wow. Thank you so much, Fumi. I'm just going to, just give a round of applause for that wonderful presentation. Thank you so, so much. So much information, so insightful, explanatory, and wonderful tips that we can take. And thank you for sharing, the different researches, because most of the things that we've been doing are based on some research somewhere or somebody starting something, and like you said, all the different hypes, there are just so much things out there that people do and they're not aware. Thank you so much for making it very, very simple. And I really like, you talking about, so for whatever steps or whatever things we're going to be doing, because most of the issues we have with our nutrition starts from a busy lifestyle. Oh, I have a very busy lifestyle. Even those people who come up with the hypes is like, take this pill and everything, you don't have to
Mhm.
do everything. But I mean, let's be real. Let's be real, and let's be truthful with ourselves to say, and doing it right. So I like when you were talking about meal planning. So if you have a very busy lifestyle, just as you're planning other things, your other aspects of your life, plan your meals. And it starts with your timing. You talked about shopping, about preparation. That's true. Do you know that? And this is what I do a lot: meal planning. When I cook my food, I cook them as well. And all the other things that we've been learning, I use proper, bowls to pack them, and put them in the freezer. Sometimes pre-cook. Like you said, because of the kind of lifestyle, and also changing. It's because sometimes I even do like intermittent fasting, and Christians, we fasting and all that. Sometimes I'm so hungry, I don't even want to think about cooking anything, but because I have a healthy meal, that is what I'll default to. So meal planning, I'm just saying, meal planning has really, really helped me. It's helped the family as well. If I'm at my desk or gone to work, I just go to the freezer. So not just for me, but also for my family, that I know that they're eating healthily. Thank you so much. And vegetables. So what would you say, if for me, so that I know you've spoken a lot. What would you say to someone who says, I don't like vegetables, I don't want to eat vegetables? How can they incorporate that into their meals in such a way that, yes, I don't like it, but it is in my meal and I eat it?
Mm, mm. Yeah, I know some people don't really like. For me, because sometimes I'm just lazy. I'll just from freezer, I'll just put it in my plate like that, and I don't add or mix cream or anything. It's just as it is. I eat it like that, raw. Well, not raw, but cooked and like that. But for some people, for example, in Nigeria, I don't know, maybe you do this. We'll eat beans. We'll add sweet corn to it. So you can cook it with food rather than having it separate. When you cook it with food, the taste of the food is soaked into that particular vegetable, because some people may not even realize that sweet corn is a vegetable, because some people just assume that, oh, if it's just green leafy vegetables, carrots and sweet corn and all those are also vegetables as well. So you would find one, and there's so many variety of vegetables. So cook them with food. When I cook, well, I think it's just us in this house. The way we cook, we will mix our tomatoes and on like our stew with our vegetables, so that it's almost tasting like stewed vegetables. A lot of times we cook like that. In fact, sometimes I get fed up. I said to my husband, because he likes it like that, I'll be like, no, I don't want. I want for a change. I just eat it bland today. Just let me taste the vegetable itself, not too much. So cooking it, mixing it with the food is one. You can actually do it into a smoothie if you feel like, okay, I don't really like vegetables. Make it into a smoothie and add like fruits, like sweet fruits to it. You can add pineapple, you can add orange, watermelon, whatever fruits that you think will dilute the taste and make it palatable for you. You can do it that way, so that you can then consume it. Or you can, if you are baking, you can actually mix it with your bake, carrot cake, whatever vegetable cake you're baking, you can bake them and add them in your baked foods and then consume them. But remember, when you're having cakes, cake is still cake. So, but of course, you can reduce your portions, and when you're making them yourself, you know how much portion and quantity. There's no additives, there's no preservative. You're just mixing it, your whatever three ingredients you're making to make your cake or whatever you're making. You can just do it like that. So yeah, so that's how I would advise to consume your vegetables without if you don't like
Oh, thank
vegetables.
Thank you so much. That's really helpful. At least you know that now you can add them into your meals. You can incorporate them. You can smooth, make them into smoothie. When we juice, we're actually removing the nutrients. So smoothies are good. Incorporating them into our food in different ways. Very, very helpful tips. Then you talked about processed foods. So stay away from processed foods, unsaturated fats. Now, I just want to,
Saturated.
bring up this one that particularly the speaker yesterday, Kunle, he was talking about saturated fat, and he actually mentioned catfish. You know, being a professional footballer, and all of that lifestyle. When he goes to Nigeria, he will eat catfish, which we know as a jar, or some people see it as a how would I say it? Is it like a super celebrity meal or whatever? But he said he believes that he really added, or one of the things that added to his situation. What would you say on that?
Yes, basically, to be honest with you, fish is good for us.
Mm,
We are recommended, it's recommended that we have at least twice a week, we should have fish, especially because they have omega-3 fatty acids, which are good for us. They're good for the heart, for health. They have so much properties, they help improve, they have risk factors, heart diseases, they fight inflammation, autoimmune disease, depression, omega-3 fatty acids are good. They're not just in fish though, they're also in like chia seed, flaxseed and stuff like that. But fish is really a good source, of course, of protein as well. And we're advised to eat at least twice a week, or oily two fish twice a week, and one of them should be oily fish like mackerel or salmon or those categories. Catfish, whatever fish, they are not that bad as because catfish, tilapia, those are the kind of popular ones among Black people. They are not as bad as it is. But the bad thing is because a lot of these fishes, this catfish and tilapia, they are farmed. So when they are
mm,
farmed, there's so many addictive antibiotics, all sorts that are put in them
mm,
because they want them to grow, they want them to, because it's so popular, it's in high demand. Whatever is in high demand is almost like a problem for us because people then have to make way of increasing supply. And
mm,
so as a result, they've added all sorts of additives and all sorts to these fishes. And so that is the problem. So when you were consuming the one in the Atlantic Ocean, the ones in the deep sea waters, the ones that are wild caught, they are better off than the one that are farmed. And also because some of the ones that they consume mercury and all these things. So that's why. But when you actually compare that, because there was one research that actually said that you decide maybe the likelihood of it maybe causing cancer, maybe like 24 out of however, let's say 100,000 compared to maybe 7,000 people that will have heart disease, that will inflammation and whatever from not eating the fish, from not having the omega-3 fatty acid from it. So
mm,
when you look at the proportion and you compare, like, okay, if the risk, so now we're comparing risk factor now, yeah? So the risk factor, is it greater than the benefits compared to the risk factor? Which way do you want to go? Would I want to risk 24, just 24 out of 100,000, or 7,000 probability out of the numbers? So that's the kind of that was one of the researches. But again, fish will be good, but don't eat farmed one if you can. They probably will be more expensive, the wild caught ones.
mm.
But again, you know what? Once you eat healthy for your body, forget about anything. Let our food be priority. Let's invest in our health and not make sure and not consider finance when we're thinking about food.
Thank you so much for that for me. And there's a question here. It says from Lisa. She says, really informative talk. Thank you for me. Would you recommend a vegetarian diet?
I would say vegetarian diet is good, but there's okay, depends on how vegetarian you want to be. Do you want to eat eggs and milk, or do you want to go veg or vegan or plant-based? I actually did a plant-based diet in 2019 January, I think. I did it for a month. It was good, actually. I did 30 days of it. And my experience from it, because again, I like research and I like doing my own personal research. I don't want to base on books alone. So I did that at the time. And I would say, I mean, it was a bit restrictive, but it was really good. Would I permanently be a vegetarian? Personally, I would say no. Reason being, because I know again from all these benefits that we'll get from like fish and even eggs and all this other food, even meat that we say we're just saying limit your consumption, not totally. They have all these benefits and nutrients that you wouldn't necessarily get in 100% plant-based. So at the end of the day, there is no 100% guarantee in anything in life. People that are 100% plant-based die. People that are 100% meat eaters die. But what is the most likelihood of you dying, I think, is when you have unhealthy lifestyle. My grandmother, my grandmother, great grandmother in the village, my mother comes from River State. They were by the sea. They eat fish, fresh, all these things. So they live long, 100 years. And I think my grandmother was 80 something, can't remember, whatever. So at the end of the day, let's enjoy this one opportunity we have on this planet, because we don't know whether we're going to have another chance. We don't know for sure. But this one chance we have, let's make the most of it. At the end of the day, balance is key. So Lisa, I would say try to what I would suggest though is, because it's good to have more plant-based food than anything else. So I would suggest perhaps maybe like having like a 2 days, because I do that, like 2 days where you have plants, no meat at all. You can have no meat Monday, no meat Wednesday, or whatever you decide to say, okay, 2 days a week I will be having totally plant-based food. Or maybe you want to have like a 1 month a year where I'm just going to be having like a plant-based diet and just have that, like refresh and whatever. So however you want to do it, or whatever works for you, because we're all individuals and everybody is different. So however you do it, but just try to make sure that you have more of the plant-based than meats or fish, is what I would say.
Thank you so much, Fumi. So much wonderful information. Now, there's a question from Larry. She's asking, how do you maximize nutrition in African food? So, in just 2 minutes, Fumi, tell us about your book, because I think that would really, really help. So, Fumi has published a book, and it's all about helping to maximize nutrition in our African food. So tell us about your book. How can we get it? How can we contact you after now? Thank you.
Yes, if you go on my website, www.theexclusiveview.com, you can purchase it there. And the ebook is the one that is available now. The hard copy will be available by next week, by God's grace, or it could be 2 weeks max, but less than next week, it should be on its way. One of the reasons I wrote the book, because a lot of us, perhaps particularly living in diaspora, we don't really know what to eat. How do we balance? People will like, I don't eat. Sorry?
Sorry to stop you. Your website again. So it's www.exclusiveview.
The exclusive view. Theexclusiveview.com.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just putting it in the chat box for anyone who wants to go there.
Yeah. So a lot of people don't know. They would say, "Oh, I no longer eat pounded yam. Oh, I no longer eat this. I no longer." And I'm like, "Oh, excuse me, that's misinformation. Our African food is really good. We don't have any bad African food, for your information. It's poor eating habits, poor cooking methods, poor lifestyle. And that's why I wrote the book. So the book is the starting point, really. There's actually another book coming up after that, but this one is just a starting point to provide information, to you, for you to know you can eat your food. You need to understand what portion you need to eat. You need to understand cooking methods. Like pounded yam, for example, I'll just use that as an example before as we finish. I actually stopped buying the powdered one as well, like last year, because not that I didn't know, but again, sometimes you just I noticed that a lot of the pounded yam here that is being sold, they don't contain a single grain of yam, and I mean it, a single grain. I should have been this video has been long overdue. I haven't just done it. I went to store, I took photos about 10 or 15, how many? I think maybe 1 or 2 had yam, and the yam content was insignificant even. So they don't contain yam. We don't even know what we're eating. And sometimes you say patronize African people, they're giving us whatever. So at the end of the day, like I say, buy the food the way it came from the ground, natural. Do the yam yourself. Food processor is easy now. 1 minute, I have a food processor. I press the button, the yam is pounded yam. Again, like I said from the beginning, in terms of rice, when you pick portion, you don't put a whole plate of portion. Your fist is your size of your portion. So no matter how big or small you are, if the feast is more than whatever you eat, so if you have a small feast, that means that's the portion you should be eating for your carbohydrates. You shouldn't eat too much more than that. So that's how you can maximize. Sorry, did I even answer the question? I think I've gone over the track. Sorry.
Thank you so much. Well, I think there's a lot to unpack, and I think that we've put the information out there for people to know where to go to. So we can purchase Fumi's ebook at www.theexclusiveyou.com. And from her website, you can contact her. You can make contact with her. You can reach her. And I just want to say thank you to everyone. Thank you for participating. Thank you for coming on board. It's been a pleasure having you, Fumi. You've
Thank
shared
you.
so much information. And guys, this is on YouTube. It's recorded. If you know someone out there who needs to hear this, please share with them. I mean, we're not hoarding information. We need to begin to unlearn all those things that we have learned that are not helping us, particularly in our, Black African community. It's so important, so essential. And we can begin to change things. I have made a lot of changes in my lifestyle, and I continue to learn, like Fumi says, continue to research, continue to find out. If tomorrow there's another research that says, oh, we can move from this, well, we'll look at it and improve. So I'm going to, because of our time, in rounding up, I would say eat balanced food. Have your carbohydrates, your proteins, your nutrients from your vegetables. Eat sensibly. Eat sensibly. Um, portions that are good for us, not disproportionate portions, but portions that are really healthy. And yes, to your health, to your lifestyle, even if it means spending a bit more, please go ahead and do that. So thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Fumi. It's been a
Thank you.
delight
Sorry,
having
one
you.
thing I forgot is because I know
Yeah,
we've been talking about broccoli. I didn't because I didn't finish my slide. All
yeah.
our African vegetables are brilliant. In fact, they have the same properties as all the broccoli that I mentioned. So whether it's ugu, whether it's
Mm.
green leaves or whatever, ewedu, which is a mokayu, or forgotten
Okay.
whatever the
Well, look,
scientific. We call it jutes. I'm so used to that, but it has a scientific name. Yeah, whatever. Just eat it. As long as it's from the ground, directly fresh, go on.
exactly. So let's go back to our natural foods. Thank you so much. And that's what we're trying to do, to create awareness, inform ourselves, educate ourselves. Whatever is not helping us, let's put it away and learn new things. Thank you so much, everyone. It's going to be that's all it's going to be. So because of it, next session is coming up very soon. Thank you for me, and
Thank you
bye,
so much for
everyone.
having me. Bye. Bye, everybody. Thanks for joining in.